This is Kimon Onuma of Onuma Inc. in Pasadena, California, and Thought Leadership Chair of the Building Smart Alliance, a council of the National Institute of Building Sciences in Washington, D.C. Building informed environments and transforming the building industry. In 1983, Korean Airlines Flight 007 strayed into Soviet airspace and was shot down. Lack of information and data and a navigational problem caused this. In the height of the Cold War, President Reagan mandated that the global positioning system and satellites used by the Department of Defense be opened up for civilian use. This has had a huge impact on us today. The technologies that we use today rely on the same GPS system to help us navigate our world. When I visited the Trinity College Library and looked at the knowledge of a nation stacked in books 2 stories high, I thought about the data, the analog data that is trapped in these books and the value of that. In order to get to that data, to navigate through it, you first have to get beyond the green ropes, and then even climb up ladders to get to the top shelf. Incredibly valuable data and information, but in a format and in a technology that is obsolete today. It's beautiful to look at, but it's useless beyond that. Mobile devices started gaining in popularity, and by 2001 had overtaken landlines, and the rest is history. Now we use these devices and the same global positioning systems to find information in real time as we walk around the city. For example, finding things, looking at a map, finding Starbucks, finding where our friends are, when is the next bus coming around the corner, Googling everything, reserving a hotel. We expect this level of functionality, and this data is not coming from a single system or a single model. It's coming from multiple sources, and it's easy to use, easy to implement for developers, and it's modular. You can keep on adding new functionality based on the business needs. So for example, Uber has overtaken taxis in 2015. Uber uses the global positioning systems and maps and other technologies developed by others, and has identified the need of riders and the availability of drivers and combined them to create a whole new business. This is just one example of a huge disruption that has happened around us. In this rapidly advancing world of smart cities and Internet of Things, we're all connected, but there's one gaping hole. The building industry has been overtaken by the technologies around us. Amazing results are being achieved with building information modeling. Yet, a Level 2 BIM is still a file-focused format, exchange from one application, imported to the next, and it's also very much a project-focused format. The larger ecosystem of smart cities, Internet of Things, and real-time data, the technology is already there to make that happen, and we don't have to wait. The belief is that we need order, we need to be methodical, structured, develop standards, and go step by step as we build up the capabilities of the building industry. But that is not necessarily the case. Navigating a stacked canyon of books or data, or a stacked set of buildings on the building block, requires technologies that allow us to get to the data in real time, through a web service, in the cloud, dynamically, in a non-linear way. We no longer have to climb ladders. We no longer have to have everything structured. We can connect to it and create our own solutions once we get access to the data. The cloud and web services have already transformed the world around us. Level 3 data will not only come from BIM or IFC. IoT and smart cities are already moving ahead, and they are not in BIM. In our BIM-centric view of the world, we assume everything should map to us, but we really must look at it a different way. To enable more smart apps for BIM, the data must be simple to use and simple to build on. New patterns and uses will emerge on the fly, and machines can read that data to find those patterns. Our value in the building industry as experts is we can understand the complexity and create the connections. We can help the world navigate this complexity and create solutions that will make a difference. So why this story about the disruptive force of global positioning systems? It is now time for disruption in the building industry to occur and take the building smart standards and align them with the technologies that have evolved around us. We were involved with a series of projects through the National Institute of Building Sciences for the Department of Defense, Defense Health Agency, and Department of Veterans Affairs for the facility data. They wanted to make their facility data more accessible to their internal teams and also their external consultants. The goal was to web service enable it and make it open and accessible. The DoD and VA jointly manage 210 million square foot portfolio, and the SEPS system is used to define the requirements for healthcare facilities and the equipment inside them. Very complex data, and this data was only accessible to internal users. Just like a defense satellite system can be open for civilian use, certain parts of a facility data can be opened up as a service as well. That's what happened with SEPS. The knowledge base was structured in a way to be shared. White House directives for digital government using Silicon Valley strategies were used as the foundation for the SEPS strategic plan and defining the three-tiered architecture of moving the SEPS data into an open and accessible format and layering in a secure data service on top of it for apps to be built on top. Apps including the Space and Equipment Planning System, which was now called SEPS2BIM, and other BIM applications and non-BIM applications. The result is a level 3 in the cloud implementation of BIM tools. Data services to SEPS then were rapidly opened up. We did not require the SEPS development team to understand BIM or IFC or any of the standards. The first step was to take their data and web service enable it. Then other applications and vendors, within a few short months, started linking into the exact same data service with their tools, their BIM tools. So they were able to then translate SEPS data into their formats. 3D Warehouse took their equipment data objects and converted them into a 3D Warehouse format that then linked into SketchUp. A dental chair like this was made accessible with the same data. The Onuma system on the web used the same data as well. All the data coming from the same service align the different tools. The SEPS2BIM utility, you can go online and without any login actually, you can put in your information and call up a standard equipment and room type, and that can then be moved into other BIM applications as well. The simplicity of use was critical. Other applications like iPad applications then use the same data as well. This happened within a few short months after the data service was made accessible. BIM objects then took the same data and made it available in different formats, including IFC. In other words, what started as structured data in a non-IFC format now is available in IFC as well. Atenia, a non-BIM application with 40,000 pieces of equipment with attributes, about 200 attributes each, also linked to it very rapidly without even needing to understand anything about BIM. Their data then flows into other BIM applications as the connections are made. So if you open up another application that links to Atenia and links to the SEPS data, you can see the Atenia data actually pop up from the equipment list. So the end user doesn't have to be bothered with the complexity, but all of a sudden they have access to rich data that allows them to make decisions about the medical planning process. Revit, the same thing with APIs connected to the different web services, can see the same data and equipment. ArchiCAD then aligned their objects. The result is now multiple vendors all aligned with the owner's web service data for equipment and spaces. This level 3 BIM implementation of owner data in the cloud is a huge first agile and lean step. It is an approach that can be expanded for any building type, not just for healthcare facilities or large owners. And it is not one system or one BIM or even one format like IFC. It is an ecosystem of data and systems and functionality that can be expanded over time, and it is ready to be used. This is an incredibly exciting time to be in the building industry. Transparency and collaboration are going to be key to move the industry forward, and we invite you all to join us. For those that are ready to change things, there's a way to start. BIM storms are going to be expanded to include all of what we talked about today. If you go to bimstorm.com/BIE, you will be able to sign up for an ongoing series of hands-on BIM storms and help us change the industry and build informed environments.